Good morning, friends. Hello, how are you? Welcome to Sunday Brunch, one of the final Sunday brunches here of 2021. Spencer Love, of course, the head honcho here of Love Wrestling, joined by some of the finest that you are going to find, not just in pro wrestling, but just some great individuals joining us both on screen and already in the chat. First things first, we got to thank JJ's Girl 83 and Corey V236 for the follows on Twitch. And of course, Zach, good morning, my friend. Have a great show. I'm certain we will. You know, I was testing my speakers on StreamYard. Thank you guys for joining wherever it may be. If you got questions, comments, concerns, you just want to chat with some people here on a Sunday morning, feel free to throw them on the YouTube side of things, the Twitch side of things, the Facebook Live side of things. Like I said, we don't discriminate. We're going to throw your comments up on the screen wherever you're tuned in. And the four of us and potentially maybe some later run-ins are going to be chatting wrestling for about the next hour. And first things first, I got to say hello to Chris Parrish, the man who defeated the official sponsor of Love Wrestling, RK Athletics, inside the squared circle last night. It was pretty nice. I enjoyed all of it.
And now great. I'm podcasting with a beer in hand, just like I told him.
As promised, Zach thrown in there. He loves your wall. That's the wall, brother. Somebody had to say it. And Tommy Karate, good to see you, Tom. Good morning, friends. How many coins for a honk from the Goose? Now, hold on, Goose. Are we charging per honk, or are we like buying as a group here? Like, are we getting a full honk, honk, honk?
What kind of this am I going to get?
We'll discuss that off air.
Okay, cool.
Goosey, how are you doing, man? You were in action last night, albeit in a very different way than you're used to.
Yeah, I wrestled as Santa Claus. At least it started off that way, and then homeboy started messing around with my fake beard. So I had to get rid of that and just fess up to the fact that, I was the Christmas goose all along.
Santa Claus.
Yeah. I attempted to kick some Yuletide ass, and I achieved a bit of that, but I, at the end of the day, did walk away without my hand raised, which kind of bums me out.
I made the joke to Parrish in the back. I said, we're not really going to have Santa Claus lose on Christmas, are we? And lo and behold, we certainly did. Tommy hopping in, give me 3 honks or give me death. I mean, I think that's payment enough. Lawrence, thank you for hopping in, my friend. I hope you're okay after last night's edition of Blowing Off Stream. I know you had a tough time there. And Parrish hopping in, of course, with the match of the night. The man in the jacket versus a lit cigarette. Yes, of course, an individual lighting himself on fire at last night's show because he put a lit cigarette in his pocket. It's the single funniest thing that's ever going to happen for the rest of his life.
He's hardcore. He's hardcore.
Actually, Goose, he's fired.
Yeah.
Please don't die. Please don't die. Big Bad Bobby, we're going to move to you. Let's stop talking about self-immolation.
Trying to get a match with Vince Austin.
See, I've still got my faith on Vince Austin in that one, though. That guy in the best possible way as a pro wrestler can go. Guy's nuts. Bobby!
He's awesome.
Good to see you, brother. How are things over on the Saskatchewan side?
Sign Guy Dudley over here.
Oh, brunch with Bob. Oh, we should have had a piano track going with this.
Sad Hulk music.
Anyway, I'm doing fantastic over here in Brock Lesnar, Saskatchewan. How are you guys doing?
Brock Lesnar, Saskatchewan. That guy is the unofficial premier of Saskatchewan, and I'm pretty sure if he was to walk into an office somewhere, he would become the official premier of Saskatchewan. His outfit this week was one of my favorites I've ever seen in pro wrestling. Like the denim over top of the overalls, over top of the plaid should be like a national costume somewhere.
He is the coolest man from this province I've ever met. Or no, wait, never met him. So, but love him anyway.
He got at least 2 votes. And now there's a minority government.
Well, and let's just get real here, man. Like Brock Lesnar, I've said it a ton, but this is Brock Lesnar the best he's ever been?
He's really solid.
He's the most entertaining he's ever been.
Yes, that's the best way to put it.
He's always been entertaining. Like, even when you look at the stuff he was doing 2 years ago with R-Truth, or 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, whatever it was with Eddie Guerrero, like, that guy's always had a very good sense of humor. The stuff with Sami Zayn is, like, quite literally the stuff out of my fantasy booking. I don't know how anybody got a hold of that, but like I've been dreaming of the Brock and Sammy connection for about the last 7 years. I've loved it all. Like,
It's
who
not
would
a
have
team
thought
that
that
would have
Brock
occurred to
Lesnar?
me, but it sounds fantastic.
Well, like Brock Lesnar, who would have thought that that guy would play the affable babyface to Roman Reigns' ass kicker? You go back in time and tell someone that 3 years ago, even that Brock Lesnar is going to be the lovable dude challenging the badass Roman Reigns, and I'm sure anybody would have called you nuts.
Yeah. Well,
And
I can
the
imagine
silence-
that Sami Zayn wrestling Brock Lesnar would be awesome, just because of like Sami Zayn has got all these crazy moves, and Brock Lesnar is like one of the best bases in wrestling. So he could do all kinds of like just crazy nutty nonsense with Brock Lesnar, and I think it would be fantastic. Like even you were talking like if you imagine like 10 years ago Brock Lesnar versus El Generico on the Indies, how fantastic that would be.
That again, right out of the fantasy booking dreamland. That
Can
is
somebody
Spencer Love.
clip Spencer saying that, by the way? Because that was a sound of sounds.
I was very excited about that one. Good morning, Alex. Good to see you, my friend. I hope the move is going well. And I, like I did with Lawrence, I really hope that you're recovered after last night. If you guys have the opportunity on Twitch, you can catch the replay of Blowing Off stream for at least the next couple of weeks. We'll probably clip it because it was fun, because Alex went through some pain last night as far as it goes. But that is all for a very, very good reason. For those of you who are longtime followers of Love Wrestling, you'll know that we've got a brand new sponsor, Manscaped. Of course, they are a great product. I know that a couple of you guys can allude to that personally. I'm still waiting on mine in the mail because I was oddly enough in the process of moving over the last couple of weeks. So to be honest, I'm pretty sure that my Manscaped products ended up at my mom and dad's place, which is probably going to raise a whole lot of questions at family dinner tonight. But say Libby, Manscaped.
Well, your mom's going to open up your ball shaver cream.
And that is what it is. But you know what? They're a great sponsor doing great things for male grooming products. So you guys see along the ticker below. Get 20% off at manscaped.com using the code LOVEWRESTLING. That is what Pluggo did last night. And it resulted in not only some great content, but some support from some people we love. We thoroughly appreciate it. And no, we're going to move right past me having that stuff delivered to my parents' place. Good morning, Sandy.
I want to see like
it is
your
nice
mom
to see your friend
with a Manscaped t-shirt on or a sign that says my son uses these products. Like,
that would actually be awesome. And Mama Love is the shit. I am certain that she would do it. She's a marketing genius, man. I'll throw that in there for Mama Love. There's a lot of great
Manscaped. Are you
tough? We're gonna move back on to Brock Lesnar. Oh my God. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns outside of course, my delivery schedule, please throw them in the comments section. Somebody save me. Help me recover on this one.
I'm getting derailed by things I cannot say.
Moving on, Adam Page versus Bryan Danielson. Adam Page's first official championship defense of the AEW World title. A hell of a match. I don't think you're going to find many people who would argue that the match itself was terrific. You see a lot of debate, though, at least I have on the old Twitter machine. Do you guys appreciate, or are you guys a fan of the finish? Would you have preferred to see a conclusive winner? Are you a fan of the program continuing? Like, I just want to sort of get some general thoughts on that end of things, because personally, like, I got no issue with the time limit draw. AEW does them sparingly enough that it's not something overblown. It's not like your typical WWE rematches, for lack of a better way to put it. So, like, I'm cool with it, but Goose, maybe I'll move to you first. If you watch the match, give us your thoughts, and give us your thoughts on the finish.
I'll be totally honest. I haven't seen the match. I heard it was fantastic, though. I don't have a problem with them doing a time limit draw as long as like the time limits are kind of an established thing. That's one of the weird things. Like, you know, you're the ring announcer at RCW. I don't know if you've experienced it yet, but once in a while there's a time limit draw on the card, right? And I always find it super awkward because normally I don't announce like time limits. Like, it's not an every week thing for me. So if you show up at the show and suddenly I'm announcing time limits for every match, it's in order to keep continuity there, but it kind of is also like a giveaway that there's going to be a time limit draw. I don't know if that's just like maybe I should be doing that more for when I'm announcing or whatever, but it's not something that is really it. It's not done in WWE, so it wasn't a thing. Like, you don't hear them say, making his way to the ring for this 20-minute match. Like, it's not a thing that happens unless it's specifically said. Yeah, there's
It's an iron
time limit.
match.
Yeah,
It is what
yeah,
it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Parrish.
Okay. After yours finishes, I'll move to you.
Oh, I was just gonna say that like hour-long matches are also like not really something I'm super keen on. Like they can be good if they're really well done, and I've from everything I've heard, it was really well done. But like it's just like that's a long time to pay attention to some wrestling.
Oh yeah, there are very, very few individuals that can carry a match like that, and there are a lot of talented wrestlers out there, right? But hop in, Pluggo, eat more sauce. Unfortunately, I do not have any hot sauce or anything like that I can throw myself under the bus for. If anybody else would like to, have some pain at 11, 12 in the morning Mountain Standard Time, then feel more than free. But I ain't gonna jump under that one. And Bobby hopping in as well. Last Saturday I was at Battleground Championship Wrestling. You saw Camille versus Mercedes Martinez. Hell yeah, man! I saw that match pop up on social media. I hope there's somewhere I can watch it. I'm sure it's on IWTV or something along those lines. But you'll never need to sell Mercedes Martinez to me. That woman's one of the most talented individuals in the world. And then some great shouts there as well. Camille versus Nicole Savoy, Shazza McKenzie, Taya Valkyrie. Like, that is one thing I've really liked about the NWA, and I'm going to get to this in a bit because I still want to ask you, Bobby and Parrish, about Paige and Danielson, but I've loved how they've sort of rotated people in with the NWA over the last little bit, much more than they had prior to the pandemic. You could see something like that happen with any of those women, right? But Parrish, I rambled long enough. Your turn. Your thoughts. Give us your questions, comments, concerns, queries, thoughts, anything.
I thought it was a really good way of continuing the story that they have, not necessarily ending it, because these are two guys that you don't want to do a one and done with. It doesn't help Adam Page doing it at Bryan Danielson's expense, and it doesn't help Bryan Danielson's momentum as trying to establish as a top guy, because it quickly just would eat him as a contender. What I did like about it was the fact nothing was rushed in this match. They all took their time. They let everything breathe in the match. The transitions were really smooth, and they made sure that each guy had their moments in the match where they could end it. Ultimately, looking at Adam Page had it, but he just didn't have enough time. So I really like the story. And the one thing that I think is really hard to kind of incorporate is the fact that we now live in this time where instant gratification, instant whatever, is more popular than it's ever been. Not a lot of people have the time for a 1 hour match. And I say this because when was the last time you ever watched Brett and Shawn at WrestleMania 12, which I think is one of the best 60-minute matches in the last 20 some odd years that I've been a fan of professional wrestling. But with that being said, if this is something that they don't overdo, because I know Ring of Honor used to do this a lot. I know Bryan Danielson liked to do the 60-minute stuff a lot. Then it's fine. And he's already had 2 in AEW. So I just hope that it's not a continuous thing, because then it just gets oversaturated. And I really hope they don't go through that line, because as we know from watching WWE, fans tend to reject things that are always pushed down your throats. And not necessarily saying this, but it's going to get predictable. It's going to get a little bit boring. And it's going to become less special if they do it more and more and more.
I agree, man. I think that both instances so far have been very appropriate, but you don't want to see it happening, like you say, every week, every couple of weeks, right? Like Omega Danielson, you needed to leave that door reopened in case, Omega wins the title back, or you get the rematch when Kenny's healthy and potentially Bryan wins the title down the road, or, wherever you go from there. And to me, if you had Adam Page lose in his first title defense, you would have been doing that guy a disservice for the 2-year story that him and Omega had told, right? So I completely agree with all the points made, man. I think that they've done very well by it so far, but like, you don't want to see them going to a 20-minute time limit draw on AEW Dark next month.
The one thing I want to add, Paige has already said, there's already now a thing about Bryan Danielson that he is this marathon man, and that you have to be really special to go the distance with him. Kenny Omega is Kenny Omega. Like, he has a perception of him that is huge within that company and in pro wrestling. Adam Page has now beaten Kenny Omega to become champion, he has now taken Bryan Danielson also to that limit. It just, I think it really helps solidify Adam Page as that top main event world champion. Even in maybe the fans' eyes who maybe weren't necessarily the natural Adam Page fan and are starting to come around to him, I think it really helps him more than it helps Bryan Danielson, because we all know Bryan Danielson is a machine when it comes to the in-ring technicians.
Hard to doubt Bryan Danielson is like the best pound-for-pound wrestler in the world at this point. It really is. Like, whether he's like your favorite, whether he's the biggest wrestler in the world, for lack of a better way to put it, like, it's hard to doubt that guy's the best pound for pound. Like, Omega's the other guy I'd put in that conversation. Then honestly, like, John Gresham is really one of the other guys that I'd put in. Is like, you can wrestle a broomstick, you can wrestle pretty well any piece of machinery, anything out there, and you'll draw a freaking good match out of it, right? But either way, Bobby, I'll let you close it off, and then we're going to get to a clip, a throwback, a blast from the past on my end of things. I'm chatting with Cody Deaner on Wednesday this week, so I've got a clip from the last time him and I chatted. It was about a year ago. It was prior to him shaving his head. It's a pretty cool little throwback. So, Bobby, I'll go to you. You close her out. When we come back from that break, we'll chat NWA.
So not much more to add. Like, I agree with what's been said here already by you guys. One thing about the finish, though, as a fan of the history of professional wrestling, a lot of the companies back, especially in the territory days, used to use things like time limit draws, disqualifications, and countouts as a way of protecting many of the big stars. And I think that is one thing I got to give kudos to AEW for. They have kept up these time limits, the time limit draws, and they're a very effective way of not only giving longevity to stories, but also not taking away from the stars at hand. Adam Page looks like a megastar coming out of this one, because what Bryan Danielson brings to the table is a sustainable name that even casual fans actually know about. So to have one of their new stars that they're building go the distance with somebody with that caliber of name makes Adam Page look like absolute gold in this. And kudos to them. Kudos to the match as well, too.
I can go the distance. I can take me there. I'm just pulling up the clip. Oh, I should have sang that. It would have been way better. It would have actually fit the... Damn it. Here's Cody Deaner talking about his time in Alberta.
I want to start it off with, what do you find different between, say, the Ontario independent scene or wrestling consistently there versus coming out to the West Coast? Maybe you're wrestling in Saskatchewan, Alberta, BC, consistently as you have been for the last little bit.
I think the one thing that I noticed about being out in Alberta is, I don't know if it was just my mind telling me this or if it was actually true, but I felt like the Alberta fans are a little more of an old school fan because of the history of the Hart family and those things. Maybe it was because I actually went and visited the Hart House while I was there in Alberta, because I'm a huge, obviously as a Canadian, Bret Hart is like the man. So I went out and I just had that on my mind, and just wrestling in front of those Alberta fans, I mean, it just felt like this old school feel. And some of the crowds in Ontario were like that, but not all of them. But every single time I've wrestled in Alberta, it's just like this old school mentality. And I guess maybe what I mean by that is there's not a fan that's in the audience that's trying to bring attention to themselves. They just appreciate watching what's in the ring, and they just want to have a good time. No matter what kind of wrestling is happening in front of them, they are there to have a good time and support the guys they like and boo the guys they don't, which is usually support the guy they're supposed to cheer and boo the guy they're supposed to boo, and they just want to have fun. That's my kind of wrestling, man, and that's the kind of fans that are in Alberta, and I noticed that right away when I was out there.
Cody Deaner will be joining me, like I said, this week on Love Wrestling. We're not only going to be chatting about pro wrestling, because obviously, like, you see the hair there, and you see the change over the last year since we've chatted, and all he's done with Violent by Design and working with Eric Young and Joe Doring and Rhino and everybody else involved in the storyline. But I'm also really excited because that guy, like, the charitable work that he does is absolutely incredible. So we're going to be chatting a lot about his January 13th online event, Inspired to Inspire. He's going to be chatting about his journey as a pro wrestler, getting back into the community as best as humanely possible as you can during these trying times that 2 years later we're still in. But that's a different story. We're not here to chat politics. We're here to chat pro wrestling. And Alex, hopping back in to stem off of Bobby's point, with these time limit draws, AEW doesn't go right back to it or to a rematch. They let it breathe, let the fans take it in, and then after a while go back to it. Yeah, like Tony Khan, I think it was on Busted Open this week, was even saying Bryan Danielson is still the number one contender. He will get another championship match, but if it's going to be the next one, I don't know. Is that going to be at that, what are they calling it? Battle of the Belts, I believe it is. I'd be cool with a rematch there with some sort of stipulation attached, right? Like, you know, the possibilities are endless in the wild world of professional wrestling. Meanwhile, WWE will have a rematch within 24 hours to 2 weeks. They will have the graphic ready for the rematch by the time they are midway through the match to announce that they will be having that match next week.
And then come
Bobby
to
Hobbs-
SmackDown, it gets changed and they don't do the match.
Sorry, plans change. I would like to see Camille versus Lufisto or Alexia Nicole or Jody Threat or Casey Spinelli. Bobby, you're speaking my language as always, man. You and I have a lot of similar tastes in professional wrestlers, and all of those are individuals I'd love to see step into the side the ring for the NWA Women's Championship. Sorry, wordsmith distracted me. If it isn't the Brunch Bunch, yes, it is. As always, live here on Sunday morning, chatting pro wrestling the week that was, giving a bit of a preview, showing some highlight clips from the past relevant to what we're going to be doing this week. But of course, answering your questions, comments, concerns, anything in between that you guys have in the chat. Where do we want to go next, folks? We said we were going to talk NWA, but they haven't announced anything this week, which I'm going to refrain from making a comment on because that's sort of Zach's shtick.
Well,
I can't steal him complaining about the lack of announcements.
I have two things that we could talk about. One is
right.
a very big piece with WWE choosing to stay in WWE and not making jumping Kevin Owens re-signing. But then we also can talk about Roxy and a WWE tryout.
I like it all. I really like it all. Do you want to kick that one off? I'm cool with that. You can lead here, Parrish. I'm fine with that. I can shut up for a bit.
Okay.
That a challenge?
Well, so I'm gonna say this with an opening statement because I really liked what Alex's first comment was, and this is always my thing when comparing AEW to WWE. There's always a good reason and always a good thing, but then there's always that insecure fucking shot at WWE. I know I swore, but I hate that negativity that much. Like, I really hate that negativity.
I just really effing hate negativity.
It's just like, can't just AEW just have its own leg to stand on and that's it? Let's just leave WWE out of the equation. Like, we all know it's two different products. It's apples and oranges now. But with that being said, Kevin Owens staying in WWE, I think, shows a big picture right now. And people can make this narrative of like, well, AEW just couldn't afford the contract. Well, that's fine, but also take into account there's a lot of equity that the Kevin Owens name is right now in professional wrestling. And here's the eye-opening statement. Kevin Owens is a bigger entity than Kevin Steen in professional wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're completely right.
And
like, I don't. It's a weird way to put it, but like, I don't see how you could argue that. Like, WWE still to this day, like, and I love All Elite. I love Frick. There's not many pro wrestling promotions out there I don't have some love for, but it's hard to doubt WWE's got the biggest platform. It really is. Like, those guys are international in a way that no promotion has been able to do. And, you know, again, in the nicest way possible to anyone out there, won't be able to do for a while. It just takes time to build a base like they've had.
And I just want to like emphasize, Alex, like, it wasn't a shot on you. It's just an organic thing that I see all the time. So like, I don't mean anything personally here. It's just one of those things where it's just like, let's just stop bashing a company at somebody else's expense.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there.
I like apples, but I'm not saying, man, this apple is so good. Screw you, grape.
Well, now grapes are toxic to dogs. I don't like, I'm not a grape fan anymore, but that is what it is. Kevin Owens back in WWE. Kevin Owens being back in WWE is a fantastic thing. I think that guy, you know, I understand where people come from with it, but anybody sitting there and talking about this theory that he's done nothing since his Universal Championship run and all of this, I agree that was certainly his high point. Even personally, the run with Jericho, the Festival of Friendship, all of that, like, fantastic. hard to argue that that's the high point in WWE thus far. But like, I had so much time for his feud with Seth Rollins, and that guy, when we talk about people like Bayley and Sasha and Drew McIntyre, like Kevin Owens was right up there as far as the MVPs of pandemic wrestling, quote unquote. That feud with Rollins was terrific. That guy was the first major feud after the bloodline was founded, I suppose, for lack of a better way to put it, for Roman Reigns. And that guy went out there at a time when I don't think you could have convinced Kevin Owens that he was going to go out there and be the guy to take the championship off of Roman Reigns. And he went out there and put on three incredible matches that people bought into, feasibly believed that the tribal chief could be dethroned that early in his run. Like, that guy's done some pretty incredible things even since carrying the Universal title. And I'm excited as hell to see what happens from here. I really, really am. Like, I hate to say it, but like, I don't know, maybe something more we can spin off of here, but I don't think we're long for Big E as WWE champion at this point. With day one coming up, what better way to kick off the new year than Kevin Owens holding the championship again?
Kevin Owens winning the Rumble.
Yeah.
I have a lot of time for that.
That'd be cool.
I know.
But then
Goose, Bobby, like, what are your thoughts?
I don't have a problem with Kevin Owens re-signing at WWE. I mean, like, they're obviously, paying him, and he mentioned that he made the best decision for his family. So you can't hold something like that against someone. I mean, the one question is like job security. Like, Bray Wyatt was probably making a lot of money too. So at any point they can just be like, okay, well, you're gone. But at the same time, like, good for him. I'm happy for him. He's making money, and he always has good matches. I can't think of any bad Kevin Owens matches, and there's a lot of like dream matches in AEW, but he's not going to wrestle in WWE for the rest of his life. Maybe he is, but there's going to be opportunities when this contract comes up for him to make that change at that time, if that's an appropriate thing to do. But for now, I don't see why anyone would hold it against him. Like,
I think people undersell just how many dream matches there still are in WWE for him too.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of great names coming up in NXT. Like, easy for me to say, but like Kevin Owens and Braun Breaker is going to be terrific if it ever happens.
I'd love
Even
to
you
see
look at some
Kevin
of the
Owens
old
wrestle Walter. That'd be crazy.
There we
Walter, Owens, and Ciampa. Like, those guys have gone to war in the past.
Tyler
before,
Bate.
right? Like,
Oh.
Tyler Bate. Yep, Pete Dunne. There's so many people that I would look forward to seeing Kevin Owens wrestle for at least the first time under the WWE banner, right? And Bobby, I'll turn to you after this to sort of get your thoughts. But Parrish, in the same sort of way we talked about earlier, and Goose, the way you alluded to, is in making the right decisions. That's one of the reasons I was so excited to see Roxy in the WWE tryout, is because any interview she's done, even the one I did with her earlier, like, talks about it being a goal of hers is to make it to the WWE. So, okay, I understand where people say, well, I've got my concerns about potential future booking and all of that sort of stuff. And we've all seen the costumes that the Revival got done up for them. But, I'm going to kick that can.
One of those costumes.
Let's revisit that after Bobby talks, because I actually like that topic.
But we'll kick that can down the road, and if 2 years from now we're sitting here and saying, "Oh well, Roxy or Braun Breaker, whoever it might be, just to use another easy name, oh, I hated how they were booked in WWE." Cool, we can sit back and play Monday morning quarterback. That's fine for me. Right now, it's cool to be excited about both someone potentially signing for the first time in Roxy, re-signing in Kevin Owens, and just being somewhere that they evidently at this point in time want to be. Right? Bobby, before we get to you, sorry, but we're always going to shout the people out in the comments. They're amazing. Good to see you, friend. Thank you for tuning in here on Sunday Brunch. And if you guys are in the comments as well, feel free to just sit and tune in. You don't need to throw a comment in there. There's no absolute hard have to do it. But if you want to talk pro wrestling, you want to throw your comments in there, we always encourage it. Thanks for hanging out on a Sunday morning. Now, Bobby, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It's going to make me shut up. You know what's going to happen? The big screen.
Oh, there we go. So talking on this topic, I'm happy for Kevin Owens. I mean, he chose what he wanted to do, and that's it's wonderful. It's also wonderful for the WWE because this is a guy that they have pushed up there to the, I mean, he's been consistent in the upper mid card to main event level. I mean, he's a former Universal Champion, former Intercontinental Champion. I mean, they have utilized this guy in such a great way. And now with all the recent releases, there seems to be this room for somebody like him to now be pushed to the moon. I mean, I think that this is going to be part of that contract signing, is the agreement that, he's done his time in the upper mid card and everything like that. He's done what Vince has wanted him to do over this time. I'm re-signing. Time for main event level, time for a WrestleMania moment. I think I see, to Parrish's point, Kevin Owens winning the Royal Rumble, going to WrestleMania and getting that moment that he's been longing for all his career.
Yeah. And like you talk about, I hate the phrase deserves, but like talk about anybody who would deserve a moment like that, who again has put in his time. He's just such a good seeming dude. Obviously, I've never met the guy, but like you see the videos he puts out, and Goose, you talk about that he's consistent and he does this stuff for his family. He just seems like a great guy. And you talk about someone who would make an excellent brand ambassador. Not that he hasn't already, but an excellent brand ambassador right now, carrying a championship going forward. Like, yeah,
I think
you
I
never
think
will have
one of
to
the
sell me
things
on Kevin
people
Owens being a top
need
guy.
to like remember is like, I mean, obviously he's worked there for many years, but like wrestling in the WWE has to be fun. Like for a guy like Kevin Owens, it's got to be a lot of fun, So
Yeah.
like, let him go and have fun. Why not? And I mean, maybe he sometimes isn't the WWE champion, but like he's still a vital part of entertaining whatever crowd he's presented in front of.
Absolutely. A great shout in here from Bobby. We talked about dream matches earlier. Kevin Owens and Damian Priest. Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to
got so much time.
I want to dovetail on a point Bobby and Goose just made because, well, Goose, I think you're going to piss off the IWC when you said there's fun in WWE. Watch your brother. Yeah, I mean, if you're stirring the pot. God forbid you have fun in WWE.
Some of my favorite stuff, videos from WWE is just like Facebook's videos of like Kevin Owens at live events doing wacky stuff.
Oh, when he stole the guy's hat to like try to go after like. But that's also the thing. Like, there's a lot of these performers that have families, they have kids, and they understand the impact that their product has on these kids, and they want to be a part of that too, and they want to help that and grow it. And that's why, like, I think WWE gets the bad rap, because as people tune in Raw every Monday and SmackDown every Friday, and they want to see this 60-minute classic between guy A and guy B, or woman A and woman B, they got to realize that it is an entertainment product first and foremost.
Yep.
And because of that, they got to go in this. They got all these different types of fans. Like, I think Roman Reigns said it the very best way. The reason why WWE is WWE and it's not AEW caters to the niche fans, and they do a really great job at it. But guess what? At one point, WWE did that very same thing, and then it expanded. It became a global company, and because of that, you got a different niche. And their biggest niche now isn't the hardcore wrestling fans. It's the entertainment fans, and that is who they cater to. And I thought he said that very well, and it's no shock to me that he is the face of WWE now.
But he's handsome as hell.
Yeah, and he played football in Edmonton.
Real handsome dude. That's exactly
I will say I am sad that I'm not going to get to see MJF and Kevin Owens going back and forth on a microphone. Same with like Eddie Kingston and Kevin Owens. I think that would be just
MJF is a free agent in 2024. You never know.
Solid. Eddie Kingston.
Yeah. Goose, don't crack those eggs before they hatch, my friend.
There is no Eddie Kingston, man, is just the coolest. I have no other way to put it. That guy's the absolute man. I was lucky enough to see him on a Progress show over SummerSlam weekend in 2019, and like that guy, you can just tell when people give a shit, and that guy's got a lot of give a shit to him.
The gas factor.
Yeah. So with Owens re-signing, do we see Sammy re-signing? Yes, but regardless, I think he would have, if that makes sense. Like, I think
there's
there's
reasons too.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stock in people wanting to work with their friends, and don't get me wrong there. But I also think that, even just to put it in brass tacks, if Kevin Owens was to leave, well, then another spot opens up that Sami Zayn could potentially take, right, and bump up and do right by himself. And I mean that in the most positive ways. I don't think they need to be tied, but I do see a lot of value and a lot of stock in wanting to work with your friends. Right?
I could see Sami Zayn leaving. I mean, wasn't there a lot of like problems with him and the whole Saudi Arabia thing? Wasn't that like an issue?
I believe that that's just a religious thing, and I can't really admittedly speak to that. So that's all I'm
like. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, like he's still wrestling there, so it wasn't a point of process that is such a protest that he was I'm gonna not wrestle here anymore. But
no,
it might be a factor.
It's a religion thing as far as I'm aware. But by the same token, right? Like Kevin Owens didn't go over for their last show. Daniel Bryan didn't go over for a show. John Cena's refused to go over since the match he had with Triple H. And then
he sat on a runway for 12 hours while they, as like a political prisoner.
Brock Lesnar went. That's kind of weird when you think about what you just said, Goose.
Brock flew out on Vince's plane.
Yeah, I know.
He needed to get back to Saskatchewan.
Just out of curiosity, like we saw the WrestleMania 20 scene, and I'll refer his name, people, but we saw the beautiful moment at the time with Eddie and Benoit both holding the championships. Do we think in this time it is plausible to at one point see Sami Zayn Universal Champion, Kevin Owens WWE Champion?
See, the thing for me that sort of does suck to say, like not for at least a couple years. I don't see Sami Zayn being the guy to take the Universal title off of Roman Reigns or potentially Brock Lesnar if Lesnar's the next guy, or off of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, which is my expectation, to be honest with you.
How great would it be if Sami Zayn won Money in the Bank, The Rock won the title, and he cashed it in on The Rock? How great would that be?
Parrish, I would cry. I would cry. I have no other way to put it. If Sami Zayn cashed in on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I would cry and probably wouldn't be able to stop for at least a few days, just out of the sheer joy out of Sami Zayn, not Eric Rowan, being the one to retire The Rock. So at this point, that's what's happened. Eric Rowan retired The Rock, and no one will ever change my mind. The Rock was selfish as well, because he went out on his stomach, not on his back, as they say in wrestling speak. The Rock should have lost to Eric Rowan in 8 seconds. You'll never convince me he wasn't selfish for that.
What's going on with Eric Rowan? How come he's not in AEW?
I think he's just doing the independent stuff, which by no means is a bad thing, but he did the appearance for the Brody Lee tribute show. No. I don't know, like this Wednesday coming up, at least I would assume would have to be some sort of tribute to Brody Lee, or if not this Wednesday, then the next, right? Like a week today is the anniversary of Brody's passing.
And so very classy move by WWE for honoring Brody Lee too on their social network.
Man, all of them should.
I'm just happy to see
something you do.
Just happy to see WWE do the right thing.
Yeah, I think that one's a no-brainer. Like you do right by people in that sense of things, and especially by a guy who, by every single account out there, was a hell of a human being. Like I'm sure you guys all did by this point. But if you've got the opportunity to, and you're watching and you haven't yet, on the Players Tribune, and I can't remember the exact date that it launched, but Amanda Huber did a pretty emotional tribute to him, and it's certainly a tough read, not for any sort of reason outside of the fact it's emotional as all hell, but certainly something that I would recommend checking out. Now I'm going to pivot here a little bit. We've hit the commercial break, and it's not going to be an easy transition coming out of talking about Brody Lee. So here's Zach talking about ball shavers.
Hi friends, Zach from lovewrestling.ca here, and I'm here with a package generously given to us from our new friends at manscaped.com. I just thought I'd take the time to unbox and share the contents with you here today. The first thing I want to say is I really appreciate the discretion of this packaging. I need more secrets with my postman, not less. Okay, so first thing I got here is a t-shirt. Your balls will thank you. You mean that figuratively, right? Like they're not gonna, become sentient and make decisions for me. They already make enough decisions for me. When I was unpackaging it, I really appreciated the discretion here, but I also I admire the confidence and the boldness on the very back of this t-shirt. I have been excited about this for days. Get the big packaging out of the way. Big package. Holy cow. I did not expect this. This is impressive. Mow slowly with the blade side up. Always use with care. I think I can do that. 4.0 will help reduce nicks, folks, but you gotta use it properly. There's a pull thing. There's a pull tab underneath. Jeez, this box never ends. It's like a little adventure. Got some crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant. Very refreshing. Very nice, pleasant odor. It's not like perfumey. It's just like, it's just very fresh. I like that. And then we got the crop reviver. Sorry about the glare. That's awful. So I got the preserver and the revivers. If I forget to use the preserver, then I got the reviver to help me. I've played RPGs. And lastly, the main event. There it is, the Lawnmower 4.0. Very nice, very light. It says I'm supposed to charge it first, but I'm wondering. Oh yeah, there we go. Can hear that baby purr. Oh, it's got a little light too. How handy is that? Well, friends, this is a very nice product. If you want to get your hand on the Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped, just head over to manscaped.com, and I'm even going to do you one better. Just enter our promo code LOVEWRESTLING. You're going to get 20% off, and you're going to get free shipping. How good is that? And thank you once again to manscaped.com for this very generous Lawnmower 4.0 and accessories and t-shirts. My name is Zach Ralph. Thanks for tuning in.
The wonder in Zach's eyes will never fail to amuse me. Never.
Those gimmicks work on feathers.
I don't know, man, but if you want to test it out, head to manscaped.com, put in the promo code LOVEWRESTLING to get 20% off and free shipping. Sorry, my puppy's here. So
it's very nice that Manscaped caters to the extraterrestrials.
Works on feathers, felines, folks, and aliens. I like the question that Bobby's got in here, and I'm going to kick it off to someone else so that I can go and grab the coffee that I tried to brew in the 2 minutes there. The Keurig takes about 2.5 minutes.
Is it a Joe or is it a Mark?
It is a Tim Hortons Keurig cup.
It's a cup of Joe. It's a trick question.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
So
the Coffee Brothers.
I don't
This is what happens when you wake up and drink beers in the morning, buddy.
Close, Goose. I have morals.
Okay.
Bobby, I'm going to kick it off with a question from.
I didn't know the Coffee Brothers, then I don't know what we're doing here.
Now, big bad Bobby Munson of the Sunday Brunch Bunch. I'm going to pass her to you. Who are our picks to win the Royal Rumble next year? And all I ask is that you at least give a 30-second explanation so that I can go and get my coffee starting now.
Well, I believe that we said it best with Kevin Owens winning on the men's side. I think that is pretty much got to be part of this whole re-signing and giving him that WrestleMania main event. On the women's side, geez, I'm really not sure at the moment. I mean, they are pushing a lot of people over on the SmackDown side, though. We could go and have a look at and stuff like that. I mean, it wouldn't be outside the realm of seeing even like the way it's moving right now, Sonya Deville and Charlotte at WrestleMania. It might be in two heels. You almost think that they'd get a baby face in there, maybe with the direction they're going with Naomi or something like that too. Who knows? We'll see.
Lots of options. Goose, Royal Rumble winners 2022.
I would like to see Natty win the Ladies Rumble because I think her versus anyone at a WrestleMania would be excellent for the women's title. Heck, I'd even make that like the main event for sure. And then Kevin Owens is a pretty good pick. It's hard to think of anyone that would be a better pick than Kevin Owens as far as like babyface guys to challenge the heel champs, right? I guess is Apollo Crews still on SmackDown?
He's on Raw now.
I couldn't tell you.
He's on Raw.
Yeah. Because like
Apollo Crews is actually challenging Damian Priest over the United States title right now.
Oh, okay. Because his matches with Big E were really good, so yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing more.
He was fantastic. I don't know.
I hope he doesn't. They had that Nigerian drum match or what? at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think wasn't that just like a Falls Count Anywhere match?
More or less.
With drums.
Yeah.
Yes, excuse me, a musical.
It
Falls
was
Count
good
Anywhere
though.
match.
It was really
It
good.
wasn't as good. It wasn't as good as the Symphony of Destruction match between Elias and Braun Strowman. Whatever happened to Elias? Remember they did those vignettes where they killed him off, and we haven't seen him since.
I have a feeling we'll see him either Rumble or post Rumble. Like it's one of those things where you kind of head towards that big pay-per-view, and I think it's safe to say the Royal Rumble is the number 3 pay-per-view in WWE. It goes Mania, SummerSlam, Rumble, and I don't even count Saudi Arabia. So
No, I think as far as they try to do it, I still think the Rumble's got like something special about it. I know people who don't watch wrestling that will watch the.
There's no
Royal
match
Rumble.
better than the Royal Rumble. That is like the greatest match. It's like there's no better tournament than the King of the Ring. But I'm just saying, like from like a spectacle standpoint, the Rumble's definitely below SummerSlam. But
is Elias injured?
I think he was, and then there was repackaging plans that they scrapped right away.
Yeah.
I believe that it was almost supposed to be like an homage to Randy Savage or something like that, and then they scrapped that, and they're going a different direction.
Now, if you could use some repackaging, make sure you head to manscaped.com and use the code LOVEWRESTLING and repackage yourself in the most positive of ways. Parrish, you've talked about Kevin Owens quite a bit. I'll let you talk about him more because you know I've always got time to turn this into the KO show. But who have you got for the Women's Rumble?
Well, you're assuming. When KO's my male's pick.
When you assume, you make an ass of you and me, and I think I may have just done that.
Yeah. So I'll pick Kevin Owens for my men. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but no, I think I'll start with the women's. And my pick for the women's, and I believe this is the real main event women's match because I don't think we've ever seen a real feud between these two over a women's championship. But I have Bayley coming back and winning the Royal Rumble and setting up Bayley versus Becky Lynch for the first time ever on the main roster. I think that's a fresh feud that's going to be absolutely amazing. Plus, Bayley to me is out of the 4 horsemen. She is my number 1 as the best and most complete wrestler out of all 4. I think she is just amazing in that realm. I also think there's a high chance that Finn Balor could very well have a huge position in the Royal Rumble match. I always look for the guys that they don't necessarily push going into the Royal Rumble.
I hope so.
And they tend to always go either that route or the most obvious. And the most obvious would either be Brock Lesnar, or if Brock Lesnar wins the title beforehand, Roman Reigns. And those are the most obvious to me because I don't think they're going to go Seth Rollins. I think he might actually be championed by that pay-per-view. But I have a strong feeling that Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn could very well see a gigantic push in the Royal Rumble match.
I like that. I like Balor. Do I think it's going to happen? I really don't know. Like, it sort of sucks, but I hate myself for saying this, but like that guy is almost turned into over the last little bit like a Dolph Ziggler sort of guy where like people know how good he is. So they use that to get other people over like this Austin Theory feud. And look, Austin Theory's fine, but Finn Balor's Finn Balor. I think you guys pretty firmly know where my heart stands as far as who I prefer the two of those. And that's no offense to anyone. That's everything for Finn. But like the last thing that I'd want to see is Finn Balor lose another feud coming out of that stupid ending to the match that he had with Roman Reigns. Because like the thing that sucks there too, what a fantastic match that was up until the whole rope break hogwash that happened. But I'm neither here nor there. I got Bayley. I've got Bayley winning it. Bayley is the like she's just a prime candidate. She just is. Like, how can you not? She's putting out the gym videos already. She's starting to do all of that typical I'm not back, but keep your eyes open sort of stuff, for lack of a better way to put it.
Ding dong, hello.
Right? Like, I think it'd be just so damn cool if like that's how could you imagine number 30? All you hear is just like a doorbell and Bayley's music hits and she pops out. Like, come on. Come freaking on. I would absolutely love it. I like the idea of Ozka. Bobby, throw that in the chat, and Ozka could certainly pull that one off. But I've just got Bailey on this one.
Is this a WrestleMania where we can see all 4 horsewomen wrestle each other as the main events for their respective brands, like Sasha versus Charlotte and Becky versus Bailey? I think that's a real possibility, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a good
I
argument.
don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. I don't know if they'll do Sasha versus Charlotte. My thought with that one is like, okay, when you've got the 4 horsewomen, you've got 4 individuals that are at that level at this point. Use one of them to be the marquee match, for lack of a better way to put it. You've got that in Bailey and Becky. And use one of them as like the building match, for lack of a better way to put it. So use it for someone like a Shotzi. Use it for someone like a Toni Storm. Use it for someone who could use that first WrestleMania moment, that first big moment, rather than something that would just add to the resume, if that makes any sort of sense, right? Like all 4 horsewomen are, I again hate the phrase, they're established at this point. They're never going to be unpopular, unrecognized for how good they are, anything like that.
I think another name we haven't talked about that should bring attention is the missing Alexa Bliss. We haven't seen her in a while. She's probably the most successful woman that WWE produced, not in the 4 horsewomen. And it's very hard to just skip her because when she comes back, you know they're going to do some good things. She might be one of the most well-rounded talents that they have in the female division. On top, and just to touch on the Asuka comment, I would love to see Asuka versus Bianca Belair.
See, I have to disagree with you on Alexa Bliss being that well-rounded. I think that she's one of the best personalities that they have in the female division, but as far as her in-ring work, it's okay at best. I feel that's about it, and I don't think she is that top WrestleMania moment unless it is in some sort of segment personality-wise. I think she's got that. Tons of personality, not so much the in-ring work. I think they can do better.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think she's pretty good. I've never seen her have like a really like awful match. Nothing comes to mind anyway.
Yeah, but you don't remember any of them.
No, but I don't remember any Charlotte title wins.
See, I disagree there.
I feel like there is, like, when I think of Alexa Bliss, like there's definitely things that are coming to my mind, like, you know, like her stuff where she was like, her promos are fantastic. Like she's so, like, she commits really, really well. Like, even though, like, okay, some of the stuff that is pretty goofy sometimes, like with the Lily the doll and whatnot, it's real goofy, but I bet she's having a lot of fun. And you know, I think she's really good, and like she does that crazy what's that move she does off the top rope, the twisted bliss? That's pretty hard to do.
I just think too, like Bobby, to go on your thing, and I don't want this. Spencer's back too, and no, I don't know. I'll let him do it.
He had to go try out the Manscaped products.
No, I had to take JP outside.
He needed to try the lawnmower 4.0, brother.
That's what I was doing in the 4 seconds I was gone.
Hey man, lawnmower works fast, so use our promo code Love Wrestling for yours today. But I think we can make the argument that like a lot of these talents could not be, like, they might have a flaw here and there or whatever. Maybe Alexa Bliss doesn't have that 5-star match. Maybe she doesn't have like the best in-ring, but at the same time, she carries a feud a lot better than a lot of other women do. And because of that, they do feel a lot special. And she's one of those that when they needed somebody like Randy Orton to be a part of the feud with The Fiend, Alexa Bliss is the one that carried a lot of that. And that's in the ring with Randy Orton. That's a completely different level of a performer. And that's why I think it's not right to just skip her over, because she does bring a lot to the table. But to that point too, I think it's very important that you look at the Shotzys, you look at the Toni Storms, you look at those as like potentials, as these are a new crop of performers that we want to kind of bring into the scene as well. So I think those are definitely two that you could look, because I have all the time in the world for Toni Storm as well. So like I think
I'd always be down to watch Ronda Rousey come back too. Apparently,
I hope-
Spencer
Yeah.
is not.
No, no, sorry, it's webcam's still catching up on this end of things, but I've got a lot of time for Ronda. I just don't see a spot right now, you know? Again, like we're talking about a lot of really great potential WrestleMania matches without her. I'd be stoked
only-
if she came back, but like I
The
think
only
there's a
Ronda
lot of
match I would
potential
like to
with
see
the
is her and Shayna Baszler, to be honest.
What do you think? Would she? Do you think she'd be dope in AEW?
Ronda.
Because their women,
Oh, that won't
their
happen.
women's
I just don't
division
think
is a
that'll
little
ever happen.
different. No,
I don't
No.
think that'll ever happen. No, I think she's
She's done for wrestling.
Yeah.
oh, okay. I will.
I
wasn't
don't
aware
know
of
on that end. I just don't think that. I don't see her ever going to AEW. I really don't. You're gonna want when you're someone like that. You're gonna want the biggest
I
possible.
mean, there's a
platform
lot of
you can.
UFC guys on that last AEW pay per view. Like a whole bunch of them wrestled Jericho.
And none of them were in the nicest way. None of them were a Ronda Rousey level star.
Fair enough.
My thing is
at
like
least in my I don't know if there's like a UFC fan out there that could.
I mean, Mike
correct
Tyson's
me on
done
that.
AEW, and Mike
20
Tyson's
years 20 years after he was with WWE in his prime. Maybe we'll see a 70-year-old Ronda Rousey in AEW.
taking power bombs off the stage
maybe
like
Pete
Mae Young.
Rose will come in. Pete Rose will make his AEW debut soon too. I don't know. But my thing is like with the Rumble, since we're kind of on that train, we always see a surprise entrant or a very much like delighted surprise, whether it's an NXT, whether it's a one-off. What would be your guys' favorite? Like if you guys got to choose that one, men or women, like who would it be?
I always love to see the Hurricane. Yeah. Anytime the Hurricane shows up, that really makes me very happy.
I don't know. I'd really like to see Carlito return in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
I thought his return was great, but like I would really love to see it happen in front of a crowd. Right? He did that. He did the tag match the next night, I think, with Mysterio, if I remember right. But I'm not I don't know. I thought it was good. That guy deserves a freaking big ol' pop and a lot of people damn excited to see him, you know?
What city is the Rumble happening in?
St. Louis, I believe.
Yes.
Randy Orton's hometown, so you know he's not winning.
You're not wrong. Bobby, Lacey Evans is still coming back from her pregnancy, as far as I know. So yeah, she's still with WWE. She's just getting back into game shape, for lack of a better way to put it. I can't imagine you're ready to go the day after a pregnancy ends.
If there's one person, I think it's probably her, just from her background. That chick is insane on the fitness scale.
Oh yeah, but like even when you look at a Becky Lynch, like it was what? Few months?
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. I'm out of my weight class on that one. I cannot speak to it. So what we are going to do?
When did she?
I
When
think
did
it's pretty safe to say having a baby hurts.
I think you're probably right, Shaw. I'm not a scientist, but I would think you're probably right on that. Bobby, let the people know where they can find you, friend, as I get loaded up here to
All right.
get a Twitch raid going.
So you can find me as usual over at the Video Bros Network. Just dropped a new episode of Ring Respect Radio with Papa Smokes. And I just want to say that we called out Dr. Julius Smokes over in MLW because we want the smoke off competition against this guy. So if he's paying attention to anything I'm saying, come get some.
Come get some. I think that should be a tagline for somebody in WWE. You want some? Come get some. That's got some mileage behind it, Bobby. Goose.
Honk, honk, honk. That one's for that guy. Hopefully he's still watching.
Where can the people find you, friend?
You can the Canadian Goose KS on Twitter. That's my Twitter. Kyle Shaw on Facebook. Yeah, you can find me at those locations. I will tentatively planned for tomorrow. I've got the Goose calls going. If you're still down, Spencer is going to join me, and we're going to watch some of the Love Wrestling show that happened. So it'll be a good time.
You better bet your bottom dollar on that one, my friend.
That'll be
And
tomorrow at 5.
5
Monday.
p.m.
Yeah.
Mountain Standard Time. Parrish, I'm going to throw the big screen to you.
All right. Well, you can follow me on my socials, on my Twitter at Chris Parrish, on my Instagram at Chris.Parrish. You can also follow Love Wrestling, lovewrestling.ca. Go to ratethispodcast.com and select Love Wrestling. Give us a top 5 ratings. We want to be number 1. And when Spencer figures out what background he wants his green screen to be.
Look, I tried to change to my other camera here. This isn't a green screen thing. This is just a literal green screen. That's what that one is.
I don't know about Spencer or Parrish here, but I would assume they might be. But we've got a RCW show on the 26th here in Edmonton too, so I'm going to be there wrestling on that show. So hopefully Chris Parrish and Spencer will be there.
I will not be there.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to be sitting here and promoting the Poetry of a Promo, which launches tomorrow. As you can see on the little icon here, as I try and figure camera stuff out. I've never claimed to be good with technology. I've only ever claimed to try my best and have fun. Poetry of a Promo is coming tomorrow. Before that, you are going to get You Have It from Josh Robinson. He's going to be looking at Shayna Baszler today. We've got interviews coming out this week with Professor H. Shane Hawk and, of course, with the aforementioned Cody Deaner, along with all the rest of your favorites coming here on Love Wrestling. Stay tuned wherever videos are played, wherever audio is viewed, or if you want everything in one fell swoop, head to lovewrestling.ca for everything and anything coming out from the content creators we've got here. Wherever they may be, wherever you may be sure to tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch whenever you've got the opportunity. And if you're on, thank you, Parrish. I appreciate that.
I don't know who that guy is.
It's me with short hair.
Oh, okay.
If you're tuned in on Twitch, you will see the raid button coming up right now. We're going to raid our friend WrestleMania. He is watching or playing, WWE Supercard. So,
Solid.
For Goose, for Parrish, for Bobby, and for Poetry of a Promo, I guess, I've been Spencer Love. We'll see you next week.